Spotlight. My name is Brandy Stankovic, and I'd like to introduce you to Kiernan McManus. Kiernan, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Please tell us a little bit about your background and experience.
Well, I'd like to start by saying I'm a native of Boulder City. My parents had moved here in 1953. My dad had been offered and accepted a job at the high school as a teacher and taught there for about 15 years. I graduated from Boulder City High School, attended UNLV for 2 years, transferred to University of New Hampshire, which is where my dad had gone to school, and completed a degree in political science. I then came back here to Boulder City, started a career down in Las Vegas a few years later, moved from Las Vegas down to the Phoenix area, was there for a number of years, a few years in Oklahoma as a result of another transfer with work. Came back to Boulder City a little over 10 years ago. I've been very happy to be able to come back to our great town. My career was working with 2 Fortune 500 companies. I worked primarily in information technology. During that time, I obtained 2 other degrees in computer and networking technology. I think it's important to do the continuing education to stay prepared for things. I'm now semi-retired, so I have the opportunity to do things here in town that I may not have had before. I'm a current member, vice chair of the city's Historic Preservation Committee. Been doing that for about a year now. My focus on that committee has been to both promote and preserve what we have here in Boulder City. I think we have some assets in this town that you won't find elsewhere. And that is also the key to, I think, our city going forward. With that work, I've come to know a lot of people that I didn't know before that share those same type of views. And that's why I've become a candidate for city council.
That's excellent. So speaking of that, what is the job of a city council person, and why are you the right fit for that? Again, I have a degree in political science, so I can give you the technical definition of it. Here in Boulder City, we have a city council, city manager form of government. The city council acts as the legislative part, the representative part of the government. They hire a city manager. That city manager is responsible for the day-to-day operations, but the city council supervises that work, provides direction, any legislative functions that need to be done, passing new laws, repealing old laws, that all goes into what a council person would do. The way I view it is being a representative of the people. I know that there have been some articles and letters to the editor recently that try to cast the position as someone who's elected and then carries out what they view as being best. I think it's important that we continue to stay in touch with the people that we represent. Things change over time, ideas change, priorities change, and we need to be able to understand what people would like us to do, and also communicate to them what the current state of our city is, our finances, what problems we have, what may be coming down the road. I believe that it's necessary for us to be out in the community. That's something I certainly intend to do as a council person. And the reason I think I'm a good candidate for it is I do have the education to understand how government works. I also have a career that taught me how things can change over time, sometimes very quickly, and the need to be able to adjust to those changes and work towards solutions. That's great. It's excellent. So what is your 5-year vision then for the city of Boulder City?
Well, our city is going to
see some change coming. We have the I-11 bypass that will be completed in the near future. That is going to create some changes. I remember when the first bypass, because this will actually be the second bypass for Boulder City, the first bypass was when they developed what was known as the truck route into the main highway. That diverted traffic away from our uptown area. We survived that. I remember people saying that, well, if they put a stoplight in Boulder City, they were moving. Well, I don't think anyone moved when the stoplight went in. So this is going to be another change. We need to prepare for it, and we need to recognize that there will be changes that come about. As far as my vision for the city, revenues have increased by 25% over the last 5 years in town. So we do have millions of dollars in additional revenue that we did not have just a few years ago. I think that's a very good thing. It allows us to begin to concentrate on things that have been neglected in the past. We have a lot of work to do on our utilities, our streets, the things that government should be taking care of. And with that additional money, we also will be getting additional revenue from our solar leases. I think that that type of revenue can be devoted to fixing some of the things that money was diverted away from in the past. That money was diverted away in attempts to speculate on land sales, that type of thing. I think we now have the ability to go back and catch up on what we have not done in the past.
Sure.
Another thing that has occurred here in town, because we've gone through the worst financial crisis in most of our lives, is a lot of people were impacted by that. And I think that we are seeing a gradual recovery in the economy, and we're going to see a gradual recovery for our young families that were most affected by this. I think we should continue to promote the ability of this town to grow in a conservative manner. That has been a big benefit for our town, and I think that should continue.
So what are your top priorities then for the city, and what's your position for the next few years?
Well, as I said, the major concern that I have is the condition of our infrastructure here in town. Again, as I mentioned, that's been neglected. Money was spent elsewhere. Funds that should have been devoted to that were again diverted to other things. We can now take money from our solar leases and rebuild those funds, go back and catch up on the work that should have been done in the past, with an eye towards preserving our community. Preservation in this community is, I think, what will be the marketing tool that we've been using and that we should use to keep our town the way it's been, but also look towards growing into the future. Again, with the abilities that we have in this town, growing up here, I remember efforts. Whalen Field, the baseball field, was started by an individual who literally went down there with rakes and shovels and started doing that. We have things like the Sea Spot Run dog park, the bicycle track for kids. All of these things were projects between the public and the government to get things done that benefited all of us. I think we have strayed away from that. We have another example in the Boulder Dam Hotel where the government can contribute to a private enterprise, but also have that private participation to make things a better place in this town.
So then how will you contribute to making Boulder City a better place, as you just kind of described?
Again, my service on the Historic Preservation Committee, I think, is one way that I've been able to contribute. We can educate people on how to promote our city, improve what we do have here, preserve that for future generations, continue the type of work that we've done in this town for years and years that make it such a great place to live. I would also like to see us look very closely at our master plan. That has not been updated in a significant way for 15 years. Those should be looked at every 5 years at least. And I think we've gotten away from looking at how we can grow our city in an efficient way by using the available areas that we have before we look to expand far beyond what the current boundaries of our city are or the current infrastructure of our city is. And again, I think I have the recognition, the background, the work experience, the education that will all work towards a success on all of those points.
Contribute to that.
Yes.
And what role does the voice of the community play in that? How will you solicit that?
Well, the voice of the community is the community. Again, as I mentioned before, we have a representative form of government. So if I were to be elected as a council member, that would be a priority for me, to work with our citizens, communicate with them, learn what their issues are, and also be able to communicate to them what the condition of our city is. I think we've been lacking in that information, attempting to determine where we are at in the city has been hard to do over several years. And I think by making that information known to our citizens, it lets them understand what's possible and what's not possible, how they can help and how the city can help all of us improve what we have.
Right, right. So why, as kind of a final thought and bringing it all together, why should the voters kind of lean to you? Why should we vote for you?
Again, I have a great deal of knowledge having grown up in this town. My experience over my lifetime has put me in a position where I understand how to look at issues from different perspectives, work with people who may not have the same point of view that I do, but try and reach a common goal. And my experience here in town has been we all very much want a common goal, and that's to preserve the quality of life we have while also providing opportunities for the future. My contribution to that will be to be out in the community, talking to people. There have been many times over the years where I've been out in front of the credit union, talking to people, handing out information to them, making them aware of things that are important to me. I'll continue to do that in the future. I will set aside time to be at specific places, the senior center, our youth sporting events, those types of things, make myself available to the community to understand what is important to them, but also use the presence of social media. We have great technology now for getting information out to people and getting feedback from them.
Absolutely.
My goal is to be the independent voice on city council. I don't have any vested interests here in town. I think we can make our government more open and transparent. We can do the same with our hiring practices. We can seek out the best candidates and put people in positions to make the town succeed.
That's great. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of this process with us. It was really lovely to meet you.
Well, thank you. Thanks again for the opportunity.
My name is Brandy Stankovic, and you just had the opportunity to watch the Candidate Spotlight, which was an informal discussion with the candidates in the upcoming election for City Council here in the city of Boulder City. All of the 8 candidates had the opportunity, equal opportunity, to come be a part of this process. All of the filming and videos were done in one day, and they were all done live or done in one take. So to give you as much information about them, their background, their wants, their desires, and things they want to do to make Boulder City a better place. Our primary goal is to give you as much information as possible. And everybody involved in this process and production is volunteering their time. So thank you for watching our videos, and we hope you enjoy.